and welcome to Personality Quotient Conversation. Our topic of discussion for today is career planning, and my guest on the show is a trainer and an entrepreneur, Umair Jaliawala. Hi, Umair.
Hi.
Thank you for being part of this series.
Thank you.
So, Umair, career planning is an important part of everyone's life, be it students, be it managers, be it executives.
Yeah.
Everyone has to plan their career. So, one important question that comes in everyone's mind is what career to choose, because there's still a little bit of confusions and a little bit of ambiguity. How does one deal with that?
Yeah, that's a very open question and allows for a lot of interaction. I think I'd like to talk about the why first.
Right.
Why is it really important?
Right.
And you could just think of career decision as a life decision, because there's going to be something, there's high chance going to be something that you're going to do, if not for your entire life, then at least for the next decade. And research says that every individual who's, let's say, youngsters who are in school right now or colleges right now, will go through about 4 or 5 career changes.
Right.
But anything that you're picking up, you're going to do that for a decade. Now, imagine being in a place, imagine doing something that you don't enjoy doing, or perhaps you struggle doing it, and you have to do that for the next 10 years. And you have to do it in a setup which you may not like, which doesn't suit your personality.
Right.
So it's really, really crucial to think of it right now. And there are a lot of careers that you have to think really early about. For example, individuals who think of going into forces, or who think of perhaps making choices that have to be made really earlier on in life, will be denied of a lot of things if they don't decide on it earlier on. That's one why. How to go about it could have really different ways. But I think my first point here would be about exposure.
Right.
And this just reminds me of this this friend of mine who was in this college, and his class had about 5 girls. So he fell in love with one of them, and when he graduated, he fell out of it. And I asked him, why did that happen? He said, that's because I had not seen the world. And I'd only seen the 5 of them, and I thought she was the one. But when I went around, I saw so many, and I thought that she was nowhere in the picture. And what I wanted, I could find elsewhere. And that's the case with career as well.
Right.
You see, for example, if you've never seen a trainer, or if you've never experienced a training session, there's high chance that you're never going to think of training as a career.
Right.
Or if you don't know that there are people who are just there to test out different games that PlayStation makes, and their job is to find out bugs in the game. So all that they do is play games and go into every detail of it, and then write a report on all the bugs that are to be fixed in the game.
Right.
You would perhaps never think of it as a career. So number one point is exposure. And exposure, there are diplomas, which year-long diplomas that are just to how to design a staircase in a building. So imagine the specialization we're talking about. There are diplomas on how to weave baskets underwater. And these are year-long programs.
Yeah.
So I think the first bit is exposure. You've got to know what all do you have on the menu, what all is offered in the buffet, so you could pick anything that you like.
So, Umair, is there one particular age where you have to start thinking about your career, or does it vary with the type of profession you choose?
I think with the current speed that we're going at, and if you could just talk about it, brands like Coke, it took them decades and decades to build the equity that they had.
Yeah.
If you talk about brands like Facebook and Google, it's been 8-9 years, and imagine where they are.
Right.
Perhaps 10 times the size of these conventional brands.
Right.
The speed that the world is going at, and the kind of developments that we have, I personally feel that career is not a one-time decision now. It's going to be an ever-changing decision. For me as a trainer, my career when I started out was through different workshops that we used to do. But today we are forced to think that maybe this web TV is the next big thing. We are forced to think that maybe our conventional media, or how we used to get participants together, is going to fizzle out, and maybe we will be doing our training sessions using video conferencing, which is happening.
Right.
So it's every day. Engineers can't say that they've decided on something and they have to keep doing that for life. Even doctors can't say that. So career choices, and I think specializations, this is going to get even more complex. How complex it is right now, this is nothing. And the beauty is that this is getting complex at an exponential pace. So this is not a one-time thing. But yes, school time, I think, and that's not only to do with youngsters, because school time youngsters don't have much choice. And it's the parents and the teachers who have all the choices. So imagine if your teacher denies you of something when you're in school, which could be as simple as when you're painting in your drawing book, and you make something which is perhaps not part of the curriculum. And if you're told that this is wrong, it's like a condition that has been put into your mind, which is going to last a lifetime. So from that sensitivity that parents and teachers need to have, to explore every child as a different case. Because just like this fingerprint, this was given to you, this is not only your identification to say that you have a separate fingerprint and I have a separate fingerprint. This also says that the person that you are and the person I am will never be the same.
Yeah.
So in this world which talks about systems, about structures, and putting herds of people into these specific qualifications, you have to find out what is it that appeals to the individual in you. And I think the process has to be a lot of liberation for youngsters to go around explore. On youngsters' part, I think there's a lot of a laziness, because we'd Google and we'd find out about all the stupid things that we
would I think just opt for whatever's in those days.
Yeah, and that's I think that's to do with the peer pressure.
Yeah.
And that's just comfort zone, because if 10 people go for a certain meal at a restaurant, the 11th person will probably go for the same, because he just feels more secure when he does it, or she does it.
Umair, I've also come across people who think because they have done their degree in, let's say, HR or marketing, they can only opt for careers related to marketing. They cannot go into HR, they cannot go into finance, or maybe doctors. Is it necessary that the education that you do is the career that you choose? Can you not deviate from it?
I think, this is a conventional concept, because if you talk about organizations right now, HR, now the structures that they're talking about, the belief is that HR department will not be a separate department. Every business unit will have its own HR.
Right.
They're saying every person has to be an HR manager.
Right.
Every person has to think of his or her succession.
Right.
So these models again are collapsing. We used to say marketing is the big thing, then came in branding. And then we started debating about the two. We said finance are the business channels, and I said no, finance is maybe just a support function. So these paradigms will keep exhausting themselves. My question here, and that I ask my audiences as well, is not whether you can or not. That's a secondary thing. The question here is whether you want to or not.
That's true.
And once you figure that out, then cans work out. See, what is the glitch here? I've done my specialization in marketing. I want to make a career in HR. What does it take? Does it really take only a degree to get there? Or maybe being in the marketing department and yet being involved in HR affairs, having strong interaction, networking, and then having an internal switch could work out that way as well.
So I guess the right choice is only when you have the answer to the question whether you want to do it or not.
Yeah, and by right, I don't mean the ultimate. It's not, nothing is ultimate now. Your right choice is as per the situation you are in at this point in time and as the world functions right now. And this may change 6 months down the line. So you got to be flexible. You don't know what the next big thing will be. You don't know how your passions could change.
Right. So changing over time to suit that particular situation is not wrong.
But you've got to, and in this you could create a classification of the core and the detail. For example, the core of my work is ideas, is conversation, and connectivity.
Right.
Yeah. So if I take these as my core, which is ideas, conversation, and connectivity with people, now maybe I'll end up in media, which provides for ideas, conversation, and connectivity. Or maybe I could do something as writing, which is again ideas, conversation, and connectivity.
Sales.
So these are, these are the details of it.
Yeah.
But the core of my personality wants to do something which has to do with ideas and sharing them. Now, platforms could be different. So you see, for example, some people would like to become, or I have people in my training would say, I always wanted to be in army, and I couldn't get into army. I was rejected, and I'm such a loser now. I can't do anything. And I always ask them, why is it that you wanted to be in army? What was it that appealed to you about army? Maybe it was the uniform factor. Maybe it was the respect that army people get. Maybe it was the discipline. Or maybe it was being part of something bigger than yourself. Now, these 4 factors maybe will suit some other career choice as well.
Right.
Yeah. That person might, if it was a uniform or being part of a reputed organization, then maybe working for HP would do just the same, because that's also a big brand. Or Apple would do just the same.
Right.
If it was discipline, then maybe working in an academic environment would do the same, because academics is associated with discipline somehow or the other. So whys are therefore very crucial.
Right. Thank you so much, Umair. I'm sure this conversation was very important for all those people out there who do have confusions regarding planning their career.
Thank you. And I think it's just a start. There's so much more that you have to explore on your own.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Umair.
Thank you.
For more conversations, visit our website tv.personalityquotient.com.